Have you ever stopped to think that what is missing from your home may say more about your lifestyle than any object you own? I, a homemaker with half a century of stories and experiences, have seen it all. Today, I invite you to reflect with me on 8 things the Japanese never have in their homes. It seems very poor. Yes, it may sound provocative, and if you feel a bit bothered or even a little irritated, I already feel that we are truly connecting. But before we dive headfirst into this conversation, subscribe to the channel. That's right, don't be lazy. After all, if you enjoy shaking up your ideas and seeing the world from a new perspective, come with me, because a home is made not only of furniture and decorations, but of stories and attitudes. And if you're still in doubt, think with me, how many of your boldest thoughts have you ever spoken aloud? Now, take a deep breath and let's go. When I began this journey of rethinking my choices both inside and outside the home, I encountered reflections I never imagined would one day become so profound. I am 50 years old, I have experienced joys, challenges, successes, and many mistakes. And I have learned that often, it is what is missing that truly counts. It is like those empty spaces in my kitchen, which are not just spots for cabinets, but abysses that reflect conscious, sometimes countercultural, choices. It is not the same as having everything that the modern world offers. It is having the freedom to decide what matters and what can be left aside. Thus, today I share with you 8 aspects that the Japanese, with all their tradition and simplicity, have chosen not to have in their homes. And incredibly, they can teach us a lot about what really matters. 1. The absence of excess furniture. It is no secret that simplicity lies at the heart of Japanese culture. In my home, I learned to value each piece with its own story, but I also realized how much excess can suffocate an environment. The Japanese, in their quest for harmony and balance, choose to have few, carefully selected pieces of furniture. I have even found myself removing some unnecessary items, thinking, do I really need 3 sofas or a table that I haven't used in years? This simplicity taught me to appreciate space, to breathe, and to value every inch of my home, transforming the environment into a refuge of peace. Make no mistake, the absence of excess can be richer than any collection of superfluous objects. 2. The lack of space for the superfluous. Contrary to what many think, the Japanese do not accumulate objects just for the sake of it. This attitude reflects a lifestyle where every item must have a purpose, a clear function. In my own experience, I noticed that when I set aside what is not essential, I can create a lighter, more inviting atmosphere. This deliberate absence of the superfluous is an invitation to rethink the rampant consumerism that often traps us in meaningless routines. By eliminating the unnecessary, we make room for what truly matters: experiences, encounters, and moments that, in the end, are the true essence of life. 3. Simplicity in decoration. Japanese decoration is an example of refinement and moderation. I have tried to follow passing trends, but I discovered that true beauty lies in simplicity. No filling the walls with meaningless paintings or decorative objects that only gather dust. Every detail has its significance, and often, less is more. My own home transformed when I began to seek this harmony, replacing excess with elements that truly tell my story. This change not only brought a sense of organization, but also awakened an emotional connection with every corner of my home. It is as if the house came to life, whispering stories of a past full of conscious choices and a future brimming with possibilities. 4. The absence of unnecessary noise. In Japan, sound peace is as valued as the silence in a temple. I grew up in a time when hustle and bustle seemed to be synonymous with vitality, but I learned that silence also has the power to transform. In my home, I invested in moments of quiet, where every sound has its reason for being. The Japanese know that calm can be a form of resistance against the noise of the modern world. Thus, I eliminated appliances and decorations that often brought more clamor than serenity. Today, I can say that my home has become a sanctuary of peace, where every sound, or the absence thereof, contributes to an environment in which the spirit renews and the mind calms. And you, have you ever stopped to listen to the silence that dwells between the beats of your heart? 5. The absence of excess technology. We live in an era where technology invades every corner of our daily lives. However, Eastern wisdom showed me that more is not always better. The Japanese, with their minimalist approach, choose to integrate technology subtly, without letting it completely dominate the space. In my home, I decided to limit the presence of gadgets that often distance us from genuine human interaction. Today, I value face-to-face conversations and moments free from the constant interference of bright screens. This decision, although it may seem radical in such a connected world, has given me a new perspective. The quality of human relationships cannot be measured in pixels. We let technology work for us, not the other way around. 6. Choosing comfort over luxury. Over the years, I have learned that comfort holds a value that luxury often fails to offer. The Japanese, in their pursuit of a balanced life, prefer to invest in environments that welcome and embrace a person. Instead of filling their homes with expensive, extravagant objects, I choose to create spaces that make me truly feel at home. This choice allowed me to value what really matters, the sense of well-being that spreads throughout the space, like a warm embrace at the end of a tiring day. Luxury, tempting as it may be, often hides behind empty appearances, while comfort resides in what touches our soul. Wouldn't it be interesting to rethink our concepts and opt for a life where the quality of each experience outweighs any material ostentation? 7. The absence of excess formalities. If there is one thing I learned from Japanese culture, it is the art of being authentic without being bound by rigid formalities. In my journey, I realized that spontaneity and naturalness are far more valuable than following rules imposed by convention. My home, which once hosted formal gatherings and parties, is now a space where informality reigns. This change allowed me to be more myself, without masks or pretensions. The Japanese teach that true elegance lies in being faithful to oneself, in embracing imperfections, and in finding beauty in authenticity. Every object, every corner, reflects a piece of my story, and it is that uniqueness that makes a home truly special. Wouldn't it be more enriching to live without the pressure to please everyone, but rather to focus on being genuine? 8. Prioritizing quality time. Finally, one of the greatest lessons I learned is that time is the most precious resource we have. While many get lost in the relentless pursuit of accumulating goods, the Japanese value what truly matters: a life well lived. In my home, I decided that every minute should be dedicated to something that nourishes the spirit, whether it is a sincere conversation, a moment of silence, or an activity that brings joy. This philosophy transformed the way I faced daily challenges. Instead of chasing after material things, I chose to invest in what makes me happy and strengthens me. This change not only improved the quality of my relationships but also allowed me to discover a new way of living, where urgency turns into a celebration of every moment. After all, what is the point of having a house full of things if, in the end, what really matters is the time we spend with those we love? Reflecting on these 8 points, I realized that what may initially seem like poverty actually reveals itself as an invisible richness. It is not about having less, but about living more consciously, valuing every detail that contributes to our well-being. And between us, amidst so many excesses of the modern world, wouldn't it be wonderful to rediscover the beauty of simplicity? Perhaps the secret lies in setting aside the superfluous and embracing a more authentic life, where every choice reflects our essence and our deepest values. Throughout my years of experience, I learned that transforming a house into a home goes far beyond the arrangement of furniture or impeccable decoration. It is about creating an environment where every object has a purpose, every space is lived in fully, and every moment becomes part of a larger story. And don't think I'm saying that life is always easy or that simplicity solves every problem. Far from it. Sometimes, it takes courage to let go of what is familiar and dive into the unknown. But I can say, with the conviction of someone who has weathered many storms and sunny days, that this courage can transform the way we live and connect truly with what is most essential. Now, sit with me and let me tell you a story that might resonate with what you experience every day. There was a time when I found myself surrounded by so many things, so many obligations, and so much noise that I almost forgot the silence that dwelled within me. It was as if my home had become a reflection of my own restlessness, a jumble of objects, commitments, and expectations that at times suffocated me. That was when I decided to make a radical change. I began to look at every corner with new eyes and to question the true value of each item. I discovered that, just like the Japanese, I too could opt for the essential, for what truly made my heart beat faster. Every object I removed represented a small victory over routine and consumerism, a silent act of rebellion against a world that insists on pushing us toward excessive accumulation. Over time, I learned to view life with a healthy dose of irony and self-awareness. The home, which once served as a stage for the frenetic rituals of daily life, transformed into a space where simplicity was celebrated and where every item had its place, or rather, its absence made perfect sense. And it is precisely at this point that I want you to be inspired. Rethink what you really need to be happy. Is the constant presence of new, shiny things truly filling the void we sometimes carry? Or is true richness found in cultivating moments of peace and authenticity? I remember the countless times when, at the end of the day, I would sit in my favorite little spot, free from the pressure to display an impeccable lifestyle. In that moment, the silence of the home became a dear friend, a reminder that behind all the formalities and conventions, there is immense freedom in being who we really are. And so, between cups of tea, I realized that simplicity is not synonymous with poverty. It is, rather, a way to express an inner richness that goes far beyond the material. Many times, we are deceived by the idea that to have a worthy home, we need to invest in state-of-the-art technology, expensive furniture, or decorations that grab everyone's attention. But I discovered that true luxury is in the freedom to choose what truly nourishes the soul. When I eliminated the pressure to always be fashionable or to follow pre-established standards, my home took on a new look, one of warmth, authenticity, and the courage to be different. And believe me, this transformation not only improved my quality of life, but it also made me see the world with new eyes. Now, I invite you to reflect. How many times have you felt suffocated by what supposedly should bring you happiness? And how many times has the pursuit of having made you forget about being? Perhaps it's time to clear not just the closet, but also your mind and heart. After all, true wealth is not measured by the accumulation of things, but by the space we create to truly live. On this journey of self-discovery, I realized that the secret lies in finding the balance between what is necessary and what is desired. And look, I'm not saying that you need to transform your home into a minimalist temple overnight. Every change is a process, a choice that reflects our personality and our desire to live more lightly. If, like me, you have ever found yourself questioning the daily norms and conventions, know that this restlessness is the first step toward a genuine transformation. I remember a striking episode. One time, after an especially tumultuous day, I decided to dedicate myself to reorganizing the living room. Instead of putting everything back as it was, I began to reflect on what truly brought joy to my heart. Every object I kept came to have a meaning, a story. And gradually, I realized that simplicity created an atmosphere of calm and authenticity that somehow made me feel more complete. It was a liberating, almost revolutionary process, which made me understand that absences, those things we choose not to have, can be as impactful as presences. It is curious how we often cling to the unnecessary out of fear of emptiness. But the truth is, when managed well, emptiness can be a fertile space for creativity, innovation, and self-discovery. The Japanese have demonstrated this masterfully by creating environments that, despite their simplicity, exude a beauty and functionality rarely found in spaces overloaded with objects. Perhaps this is the invitation life is making us, to rethink our priorities and discover that true fulfillment does not come from accumulation, but from the ability to free ourselves from what does not nourish the soul. I know, it may seem counterintuitive. In a world where consumption and ostentation are constantly exalted, choosing the essential can be seen as an act of rebellion. But believe me, the true revolution happens when we decide to look within and recognize that less can indeed be more. Today, when I look around my home, I don't see the lack of something. I see the presence of conscious choices, of a space that welcomes me and, in a way, reflects who I am. And that feeling is indescribable. It's almost as if I had discovered a new way to be happy. Gradually, I began to notice that this inner change also affected my relationships. Friends, family, and even casual acquaintances started to notice that something was different about me. An aura of tranquility, self-confidence, of someone who knows exactly what really matters. And while on one hand this caused some surprise, on the other, it sparked healthy curiosity. After all, how many of us have not wondered if there is another way of living, a less trodden path that might be more genuine and rewarding? And here, in a direct and unfiltered way, I leave you a message. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it right now. After all, if you are here, it's because you are looking for more than simple decorating tips or passing trends. You are in search of a new way of thinking, of living, of freeing yourself from the constraints of convention. And don't worry, this journey is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who have the courage to face their own truth, even if it comes wrapped in irony and a touch of provocation. Now, returning to the central theme, 8 things the Japanese never have in their homes. In observing these aspects, I see not merely the absence of objects or habits, but an invitation to reflection. Each point reveals a life philosophy that values the essential, that which truly nourishes and sustains. And yes, it might seem that these choices indicate a certain material poverty, but in truth, they show us the true richness of detachment, freedom, and authenticity. Why, then, do we refrain from applying these teachings in our own lives? Perhaps it is the fear of letting go of what is familiar, or the worry that simplicity means sacrificing quality. But let's be honest, wouldn't it be wonderful to free ourselves from the weight of excess and discover that life, in its essence, is so much lighter when we learn to value what truly matters? Every item that is absent from our homes can be a missed opportunity to cultivate an environment of peace and creativity, to make room for the flourishing of imagination and the deepening of relationships. Throughout this journey, I understood that true transformation happens from within. It is not enough to merely remove objects or follow minimalist trends for the sake of fashion. One must embrace a new mindset, where every choice becomes a conscious act of self-love and respect for one's own history. In my experience, every change, no matter how small, was a step toward a fuller, more authentic life. And this transformation is not limited to decoration or furniture arrangement. It is reflected in every attitude, every look, every act of care toward oneself and others. You might be wondering, but isn't all this just philosophy for idealists? I say, if life is not made of ideals, what is it made of? I firmly believe that by setting aside rampant consumerism and embracing simplicity, we can build not just houses, but homes where truth and authenticity reign supreme. It is not about denying comfort or the modern conveniences the world offers, but about choosing what truly has value and discarding what only distracts us from what is essential. And here is the real challenge: to live consciously in a world that constantly pushes us toward accumulation and superficiality. Today, as I share these reflections with you, I feel as though I am inviting each one of you to make a radical choice, to question the status quo, to seek a balance between having and being. Perhaps it is necessary to rethink old habits, to challenge conventions, and maybe even to provoke a bit of discomfort. For it is precisely in that discomfort that true change is born. As you listen to this message, imagine your home not as a storage space for objects, but as a sanctuary that reflects your most authentic choices. Every absence can be a space for creativity, every silence an invitation to introspection, and every refusal of excess a step toward a lighter, more meaningful life. And if for a moment you feel challenged, and that is exactly what I want to happen, know that this restlessness is the engine of transformation. To conclude, remember, life is too short to be lived under the weight of the unnecessary. Free yourself from others' expectations, reject rampant consumerism, and embrace the beauty of simplicity. May every absence in your home be seen not as a lack, but as an opportunity to cultivate what truly makes your heart beat faster. This is the message I carry with me, a life lesson that, even if it may seem countercultural, is the key to a full and authentic existence. If you identified with this talk, if you felt that somehow these words resonated within you, know that you are not alone in this search for something more. I invite you to reflect, to experiment, and most of all, to live more consciously. After all, every small act of change is a revolutionary gesture, an affirmation that despite the standards imposed by the modern world, it is possible, and desirable, to be true to one's own essence. And so, my friend, I leave you this sincere message. Subscribe to the channel, because after all, revolution begins with each one of us, and every new idea has the power to transform not only a house, but an entire life. May this message be the kickstart for a new journey, where the absence of the superfluous becomes the presence of what truly matters. Live with courage, be authentic, and allow silence and simplicity to embrace your everyday life. After all, in the end, true wealth is not in the things we have, but in the stories we build and the choices we make with our hearts. May every decision be an invitation to reflection, every refusal of excess an act of self-love, and in the midst of so many demands, may we find time to smile, to breathe, and to celebrate what makes us truly unique. This is my story, this is my invitation, and I hope that, in some way, these words spark a change in you. After all, life is made of simple moments, authentic choices, and the courage to be different. And if by any chance this message made you question what you really want for your home and your life, then my work here will have been worthwhile. Thank you for listening. May this reflection inspire you to seek a world where true abundance is not measured by what is accumulated, but by what is lived intensely. And remember, transformation begins when we decide to let go of excess and embrace what is essential. Live intensely, always question, and above all, be true to your own story.